And our first guest, which we're so thrilled, somebody who also is a huge patriot, Mel. Of course, you know him as a great talk show host. He is a great blogger. He's also a radio host. He's got a great podcast. He is everything. Chuck Woolery. Chuck, so wonderful to have you here, my friend. And you are our first guest on Troopathon 10.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you very much. I'm coming from the Blunt Force Truth Studios at an undisclosed location in Texas.
In the bunker, huh?
I have to say that, Chuck, I am really one of your biggest admirers, and I've been tweeting and retweeting some of the stuff that you put out there because you have a very interesting take on the world, and one of them, of course, is your patriotism, which is on display all the time. So thank you for being on Troopathon 10.
I'm happy to be here. I was in the Navy back in the old days. I served.
How long ago, Chuck? How long ago? Come on, let us know.
No, Rita.
He's a guy. It's easier.
My first year of college, I went ahead to get rid of my regular duties in the Navy for on the USS Enterprise with that first nuclear aircraft carrier in Newport Beach, and I was on it for about 3 weeks, and I was supposed to be there for a year at the dock, and 3 weeks later we got a call and said, we're all going to Guantanamo. And we went to Guantanamo and sat off of Cuba for about 75 days during the Cuban crisis, and were the largest target in the ocean. We had literally nothing to defend ourselves with except our air groups.
I got to tell you something.
We weren't finished yet.
I've actually been to Guantanamo Bay as well. I wasn't on a U.S. Navy destroyer.
By the way, I have too. And we applaud you.
Yes, we do. You know, some of the prisoners at Gitmo actually get better treatments than our own United States soldiers. Can you believe that, Chuck?
Sadly true. Yeah, that's sadly true. You know, the funny thing about it is I know being in the Navy when I was there, a lot of guys, there were like 75 of us in this one compartment. If you can imagine, this ship was just enormous. And we were all in three-sided little bunks that were kind of like coffins, actually, with an opening in the side. And guys would get packages from home or packages from somebody, and everybody was always really envious when you got that special package or that special thing that came to you. And so I really applaud you for this, because it's really meaningful to troops when you're alone out there on the line or alone wherever you're stationed. And it's just nice to be remembered, and nice to know that people think about you. And if you like Snickers and Reese's peanut butter cups like I do, it's always good to get those.
You know what's important too, Chuck? You are such a patriot, and you and I have talked quite a bit. I feel like it's also so important right now, and Mel and I were talking about just how difficult it is around the world. There's so many flashpoints, and you know, we see North Korea in the headlines, of course, Iraq, Syria. How important it is to remember that our troops, many of them, as you know, are on multiple deployments, and how the stress on them and their families, and how much it means just that America hasn't forgotten them. That's what this is really so much about, Chuck.
Oh, there's no question about that, and that personal touch that you put into each package is so important that you know, it's sent from someone who's thinking about them. They may not know who it is, but they know that there's someone out there that's thinking about them and appreciating what they're doing for us individually and for our country, and defending our country and looking out for our safety. So yeah, I think it's very, very important and a real morale booster.
So what you have to do, Chuck, because as Mel pointed out, you are feverish online on your social media. As soon as you have to get the word out, tell them to donate to Troopathon, because this is such a great cause and so important to remember our troops. And the fans love you, Chuck.
I absolutely will, and I thank you so much. And by the way, when you have Charlie
Daniels.
Charlie Daniels, yeah.
I knew you were thinking that.
I've only known Charlie since 1965.
Oh, my.
When you have Charlie on, remind him that he was my guitar player at one time.
Oh, are you serious?
I hate it. We don't have time for this story.
True. He was one of the great studio musicians, great guitar players.
Gosh.
He played on a lot of songs that I recorded in Nashville.
You got to put the video up. We got to see that. Put the video up. We'll retweet it on Troopathon.
Thank you, Chuck, so much.
Thank you, Chuck, and thank you for your service.